Right now, without knowing it, you are sitting in a chair, and Neville Goddard would tell you it is the wrong one. Picture two chairs, facing each other, close enough to touch. In the first one sits the version of you that wants, the one who longs, the one who still waits, who rehearses what is missing, who checks the phone, who scans the horizon for a sign that hasn't come. In the second chair sits the version of you that already has it, the one who received, the one who rests, the one who speaks from the far side of the wish, not the near side. Most people spend their entire lives in the first chair. They stare across the small gap at the second one, at the life they want, and they call that gap hope. They think wanting harder will carry them across. It never does, because the distance between the two chairs is not made of time or money or luck. It is made of one thing only: which chair you are willing to sit in. Here is what this video is going to give you. Not a story about a dead mystic, not a philosophy to nod along to. A move. A single, concrete, physical move you can make tonight, in the dark, before you fall asleep. You are going to learn how to rise out of the chair of wanting and sit down, for real, in the chair of having. And by the end, you will understand why that one act is the whole of what Neville called assuming the state of the fulfilled wish. This technique did not fall out of the sky, and it was not Neville's invention. According to Neville, it came from his teacher in New York, a man he called Abdullah. Neville described him as a black man, an Ethiopian Jew, a master of Hebrew, of the Kabbalah, and of the mystical reading of Scripture. For about 7 years, Neville sat with him, and the thing Abdullah drilled into him was not visualization. It was not picturing the outcome from a comfortable distance, like watching a film of your own life. Abdullah refused to let him do that. He demanded something harder. He demanded that Neville assume the state of the thing as already done. There is a story Neville told over and over, and it is the clearest lesson in mental relocation ever recorded. Neville wanted to travel to Barbados to spend the season with his family. He had no money for the passage. He went to Abdullah expecting sympathy or advice or a plan. Abdullah gave him none of it. As Neville told it, the old man would not even discuss the ticket. He simply said, "You are already in Barbados." Not "you will go," not soon, you are there. Walk as the man who is already there. Sleep as the man who is already there. Refuse completely to entertain the state of the man still stuck in New York with an empty wallet. That is the second chair. Abdullah was not teaching Neville to want the trip more skillfully. He was ordering him to get up and sit in the chair of the man who had already arrived. Here is the part that stops people cold, so slow down with me. Wanting something does not bring it closer. Wanting it keeps it exactly where it is. Think about what it actually means to want. To want is to occupy right now the feeling of not having. Every time you reach for the thing, you confirm in your own body that it is not here. You rehearse the absence, you practice the lack. And Neville was relentless on this point. He taught that the feeling you live in is the feeling you make real. So if you spend your days in the state of longing, you are not manifesting the thing, you are manifesting more longing. This is the trap of the first chair. It feels productive, it feels like effort, like devotion, like you are doing the work. You affirm, you visualize, you journal, you repeat the phrases. But underneath all of it, the tone of your inner voice is still the tone of a person who does not have it yet. And the tone is what gets impressed, not the words, the state behind the words. That is why affirmations spoken from the first chair changed nothing. You can say it is done 10,000 times while your gut still says, but it isn't. The gut wins. It always wins. So the whole game is not to say the right thing. It is to move to the chair from which the right thing is simply true and no longer needs to be repeated at all. And this is the mercy hidden inside it.
If wanting were the price of admission, the tired would never arrive because they have run out of the strength to want. But nothing is being asked of your strength. You are only being asked to change seats. The most exhausted person watching this is exactly as capable of the move as the most disciplined one, because the move costs nothing but the willingness to stop straining.
Now hold on to the most important word in this entire teaching. The second chair is not won. It is not earned through effort or discipline or a certain number of repetitions. It is occupied. You sit down in it. That is the whole act. We are trained to believe that big changes require big struggle, that the better life is on the other side of years of grinding. And in the world of Caesar, the world of facts and effort and slow results, maybe it is, but this technique operates underneath that world. Neville taught in The Power of Awareness in 1952 that assumption is the beginning of creation, not the reward at the end of it, the beginning. You assume the state first, and the facts rearrange themselves to match it after. So when you sit in the second chair, you are not pretending. You are not lying to yourself about your bank balance or your relationship or your body. You are choosing which state you will consciously inhabit. And a state is not a fact. A state is a place you stand to look at the facts from. Feel the difference in your own chest for a second. The person still wanting the thing sits forward, tense, reaching, leaning across the gap. The person who already has it sits back, shoulders down, breath slow. There is nothing to reach for because the reaching is over. That posture is not the result of getting the thing. It is the doorway to it. If this is the kind of teaching you've been looking for, subscribe. There is a whole body of this work here, and we go deeper with every video. Let me make this physical, because that is where people go wrong. They try to change chairs in their thoughts, and the body stays in the old one. It never works that way. The relocation has to happen in the flesh. Start with the breath. The one who wants breathes high and shallow up in the chest like someone braced for bad news. The one who already has it breathes low and slow down into the belly like someone who just got the news they were waiting for and can finally let go. Change the breath first, and you have already begun to stand up out of the first chair. Then, the face. The wanting self carries a subtle tension around the eyes, a faint frown of waiting. The fulfilled self has a softness there, not a forced smile, a quiet release, the kind that comes over your face the moment a real worry lifts. Then the hands. Wanting clenches, holds, grips. Having lets the hands fall open, palms loose, because there is nothing left to hold on to. And then, underneath all of it, the inner tone. This is the deepest layer. Ask yourself a simple question. If the thing were already, completely, undeniably done, how would I feel right now, this minute? Not excited. Excitement still points at the future. Deeper than that. Settled, relieved, almost boringly normal. The naturalness of a person for whom this is no longer news. That flat, quiet, it is simply so feeling is the exact texture of the second chair. If you want to know whether you have actually changed chairs, there is one test, and Neville pointed at it again and again: naturalness. The first chair is dramatic. It is full of yearning and effort and the emotional charge of a person straining towards something far away. The second chair is almost dull, because to the person who already has the thing, it is not exciting anymore. It is ordinary. Think about anything you genuinely already possess right now. Your own name, the roof over you tonight. You do not celebrate them. You do not affirm them. You do not lie awake vibrating with gratitude that you have a name. They are simply true, and you have moved on. That flatness is the signature of a real assumption. When the wish stops feeling like a wish and starts feeling like a fact you have already absorbed and half forgotten, you are in the second chair. The goal is not to feel intense joy about the thing you want. The goal is to feel calm, quiet ownership of it,
the way you feel about your own hands. So if you sit down to do this and you feel a surge of desperate hope, notice it kindly. That is the first chair pulling you back down. Don't fight it, just breathe lower, let the shoulders drop, and keep sinking toward the boredom, toward the naturalness, toward the tone of the person who has nothing left to prove, because for them, it is already done. If you have ever felt the exhaustion of wanting something so badly it hurt, write 4 words in the comments. I am changing chairs. Let it mark the moment you decided to stop reaching and start sitting.
Now, a warning, because this is where most people lose it. You will sit down in the second chair, and within minutes, something will yank you back to the first. Understand what that something is, or it will run your whole life. The pull is your own history. Every fact of your current situation is evidence for the first chair. The empty account argues for the wanting self. The silent phone argues for the wanting self. The mirror, the diagnosis, the memory of every time it didn't work out, all of it testifies that you are the one who does not have it yet. Neville called this world the world of Caesar, the realm of the senses, of facts, of what can be measured. And the world of Caesar is loud. It never stops presenting its evidence. So the moment you assume the fulfilled state, the senses counterattack. They shove the old reality in your face. Look, they say, look at the actual situation. Who do you think you're fooling? And if you believe them, you slide right back into the first chair, and you call that slide being realistic. But here is the reversal. Facts are not the cause. They are the residue. They are the print left behind by a state you occupied in the past. The reason your outer life looks the way it does is that you have been sitting in the first chair for years, faithfully, and it kept its promise. The second chair keeps its promise too, but only if you refuse to get up every time the world of Caesar raises its voice. So how long do you have to sit there? Long enough for the state to stop feeling like a costume and start feeling like your skin. Neville had a phrase for this: live in the end, not visit it, live there. The mistake is treating the second chair like a place you drop by. You sit in it for 30 seconds of imagining, then you stand up and spend the other 23 hours of your day back in the chair of lack, wondering why nothing shifts. That is not assumption, that is tourism. The state has to be inhabited long enough and often enough that it becomes your default, the place your mind returns to when it is not busy with anything else. The most powerful window is the one Neville pointed to constantly, the drowsy state just before sleep. As you drift off, the noise of the world of Caesar goes quiet, and the mind grows soft and receptive like warm wax. That is the moment to be in the second chair, not straining, not affirming, simply resting in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, letting it be the last state you occupy as consciousness dissolves into sleep. What you carry across that threshold gets pressed in deep. And then, through the day, you keep coming home to it, not with force, with return. Every time you catch yourself sunk back in the wanting chair, you gently rise and you sit again in the having chair. Rise and sit, until one day you notice you did not have to move at all, because you were already there. There is a stranger thing that happens, and almost no one is warned about it, so hear this clearly. The wanting self does not die quietly. It fights. You have been the person who wants this thing for a long time, maybe years. That identity has roots. It has become familiar, even comfortable, the way an old ache becomes a companion. And when you sit, seriously, in the second chair, and you begin to be the person who already has it, the old self feels the threat. It rises up with 100 good reasons why you should not get your hopes up. Who are you to have this? Remember last time? Be careful. Come back to the first chair, where at least the disappointment is familiar. This is the crisis point, and it is not a sign you are failing. It is a sign it is working. The resistance is proof that a real relocation is underway, because nothing that was merely imaginary would fight this hard to pull you back. Neville framed the whole spiritual journey as the death of oneself and the birth of another. The old self, the one built out of lack, has to be let go of, and letting go always feels, at first, like loss. So, when that voice rises, do not argue with it. You cannot win an argument with the world of Caesar on its own terms. You simply keep sitting. You let the wanting self say its piece, and you do not get up. You stay in the fulfilled state, quiet and immovable, and you let the old identity dissolve, the way a state always dissolves when you stop feeding it your attention. Let me give you the whole thing now, clean and simple, so you can do it tonight. 3 steps, no props, no apps, just you and the 2 chairs. Step 1. Choose the scene, not the story. Do not try to imagine the entire future. Pick one small moment that would only be true if the wish were already fulfilled. A phrase someone would say to you, the feel of a key in your hand, a friend's congratulations. One short scene that implies the whole thing is done. Step 2. Sit down in the second chair, through the body. Lie back as you're falling asleep. Lower the breath. Let the shoulders drop, the hands fall open, the face soften. Then step into the scene from the inside, not watching it on a screen in front of you, but looking out through your own eyes as the person it is happening to. Feel the naturalness, feel the calm ownership, feel how ordinary it is, because to this version of you, it simply is. Step 3. Fall asleep from there. Do not check whether it worked. Do not open your eyes and scan the room for proof. Checking is the first chair. Let the fulfilled state be the last thing you are and carry it down into sleep. And when the world of Caesar shouts at you tomorrow, you do not fight it. You just, quietly, sit back down in the second chair, as many times as it takes.
So come back to the beginning. 2 chairs facing each other. The whole of your life is decided by which one you are willing to sit in. Everything you have wanted has been sitting 1 chair away this entire time. Not a lifetime away, not a fortune away, not a stroke of luck away. 1 chair. And the reason you have not crossed the gap is not that you did not want it enough. It is that you kept trying to want your way across, when the gap was never meant to be crossed by wanting. It was meant to be crossed by rising and sitting and staying. The wanting self will still be there tomorrow, in the first chair, patting the seat beside it, inviting you back to the familiar ache. And you get to decline. Every night, in the dark, at the edge of sleep, you get to rise out of the chair of the one who longs and sit down in the chair of the one who already has. Not visiting, moving in, assuming its breath, its stillness, its unremarkable certainty that the thing is done. That is the entire technique. That is what Abdullah pressed into Neville and what Neville spent his life trying to hand to anyone who would listen. Stop pleading with life from the first chair. Get up, sit down in the second, and live from inside the fulfilled wish until the world has no choice but to agree. So tonight, before you sleep, change your chair. And if this opened something in you, subscribe and stay close. There is far more of this waiting.